Uh, share with Zach White and let him share his screen, and he'll walk you through the presentation.
Now he can actually request it himself because I did not put that function in. I could put that anyone can share for now. So Zach, if you want to, the floor is yours.
Okay,
Zach.
I see it. 1 sec. Sorry.
There you go.
I gotta remember how to use WebEx.
There we go.
All right. So the meeting, Delvis, we officially started. If you want to just make a quick introduction.
Absolutely. Okay, well, welcome everyone to this evening's Economic and Municipality Committee meeting. Today being April 14th, our chairman is out, as everyone has heard. So my name is Delvis Olson. I'm a committee member and a board member, and I have great pleasure in hosting a meeting with you all this evening. First up on the agenda, we have DOT with a presentation for us regarding Westchester Avenue, Southern Boulevard to Whitlock, excuse me. All right, DOT, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to introduce everybody before we get started. My name is Navardo Lopez, Bronx Borough Commissioner for New York City DOT. I'm here with my colleagues, Keith Powell, Deputy Borough Commissioner, Matthew Arancio, who is the Director of Community Affairs and Planning, Larissa Cruz and Holly Malone, who are Borough Planners, and from our Bikes and Greenways unit, Nick Terry, Senior Project Manager, and Zach White, who's a Project Manager. And Zach is going to be giving the presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Zach now. He's going to walk you through the presentation. And I ask that everyone hold questions until the presentation is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thanks, Navardo. So, as the title says, this is a presentation on Westchester Avenue from Southern Boulevard to Whitlock Avenue. You can see a picture here. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this street. It's a major street in your neighborhood. So I'm getting a request to annotate. Is that, I think we're going to wait till the end, I guess. Ooh, okay, so this presentation is going to have 3 parts. The first part is going to be background on the area and various projects going on. And then we're going to go into the actual proposal itself for the street, and then a very short overview at the end. It should run about 15 minutes. So, and then we'll take questions at the end, as Navardo said. So for background, Westchester Avenue is a Vision Zero priority corridor and a Vision Zero priority area. And specifically at Southern Boulevard, it's a Vision Zero priority intersection. What all this means is that there's a lot of crashes and a lot of crashes with injuries on Westchester Avenue, specifically in this section, specifically at Southern Boulevard. You can see the chart at the bottom of the screen that goes through all the little details of it. Another thing to point out is that there was one fatality that happened in 2015 at Southern Boulevard. And so these are all things that we try to think about as we're trying to redesign a street and make it safer for everyone on it. Another thing to think about is that during the pandemic, during COVID-19, people have been biking more across the city. We've seen the numbers jump a ton. And while we love to see that, one of the sad things that happened was in the Bronx in 2020, the amount of bicyclists that died while biking increased a lot. When almost all over the rest of the city in general, fatalities went down, but in the Bronx, it went up specifically for bikes. So you'll see this isn't the only bike project that we've been presenting this year. It's something that we're taking really seriously because obviously we should take that very seriously. I don't know. You can see a picture here. This is at Longfellow. So for recent work that's gone on, we've recently installed Willis Avenue. You can see two pictures of this, a protected bike lane. And there's also Edgewater Road going into the park, and the Randall's Island connector, a little bit older, but also a big bike improvement in the South Bronx. And I'm sure you've seen on your local streets the bicycle share, the city bike stations that are now scattered all over the South Bronx. So these are all things we're thinking about, and we want to, when you add bike share somewhere, it means that more and more people are able to ride bikes on the street, and we want to make the street safer for everyone to feel like they can ride those city bikes on the street. So other improvements, other changes that are happening and already happened are happening to the Bronx River Greenway. So there's the Starlight Park, which you can see a picture of the new bridge that's going in, and there's still a ton of construction going on around that thing, but there's a lot of work going in to make this part of the Bronx River Greenway. And then there's also the Hunts Point Interstate Access Improvement Project, which there's a few options on the last presentation I saw, but in general, these are all expansions that are happening to the Greenway that'll make it an enjoyable place to bike in the Bronx, to go along the river. You can get all up and down. Also, there's the Edgewater Road, which I mentioned before, but here's a picture of it. So all these improvements to the Greenway make Westchester a very key connection to going east and west in the Bronx, because the Greenway goes north and south, but Westchester kind of cuts across. And it'll be a key connection for people to get from their neighborhood to this new amenity that's being added. So one of the things that you'll hear me talk about in this presentation is protected bike lanes. And we put protected bike lanes in all over the city. And it sounds like we're doing something that's just for bikes, but what our data has shown is that we actually end up decreasing the crashes for everyone on the street when we put in a protected bike lane, because we're not just adding in green paint, we're realigning the lanes, we're adding pedestrian islands, we're adding turn lanes, things like that. And altogether, it ends up making people drive slower. It organizes the street. It puts bikes in their own place where they don't get in the way of everyone else. And we see the crashes go down. So you could see some pictures here from from E.L. Grant Highway, from Skillman Avenue in Queens, and in 4th Avenue in the Bronx. All examples of fairly recent projects of protected bike lanes. So on to the proposal itself. This is just an overview of what I'll talk about, so there'll be more slides to go into detail on most of these things. But in general, we're proposing to add turn lanes and pedestrian islands and protected bike lanes between Southern Boulevard and Whitlock Avenue. We would also do a more significant reconfiguration of how Westchester Avenue and East 167th Street works. And we're also proposing to install leading pedestrian intervals to make it easier to cross Westchester Avenue, give you more time. I'll explain that later. All these changes mean that we would repurpose about 40 parking spots. And I should accent that a lot of this is near Sheridan Boulevard, near Whitlock Avenue. Because of all the traffic over there, we wanted to maintain enough travel lanes and the bike lanes, so it takes up a lot of space. But there's a lot of benefits from this. It would reduce speeding, it would shorten the crossing distances and give people more time to cross without cars turning across them. It would also have protected bike lanes that would be comfortable for everybody to ride in. And it also would better organize the roadway. So I'll get into into more details on all these points. So here is the cross section of Westchester Avenue. It's a 70-foot wide street with 2 lanes on each side of the street. On part of it, there's the bike lanes. On part of it, there's not bike lanes already on the street, but the bike lanes, when they're there, are between the parked car and the moving lane. So what we're proposing is to put the bike lanes for the whole length of from Whitlock to Southern, and to put them on between the curb and the parked cars. This would mean that there's like about 3 travel lanes in the middle. It changes a little bit block to block, but there'd still be parking on both sides of the street. There'd be a bike lane each side of the street. And then this yellow area is the pedestrian island. So at the corners, you would have an island like this where you don't have to cross the full street immediately. You get to walk to the island. It ends up decreasing the crossing distance by a lot because Westchester is 70 feet wide. If you just walk from island to island, you're crossing only about 32 feet. So it's a big change if you got groceries with you, if you're carrying a kid or something like that. Another part is adding the left turn lanes, which lets you pull out of traffic and sit in the left turn lane and look to yield for your turn and not have someone honking behind you as they're trying to keep going down the street. Right now, Westchester is just 2 lanes and they're not marked for anyone to turn or anything. So you just drive in either one and people swerve all over the place and you're changing lanes and it's not designated on where you should make a left turn. That's another safety improvement that we put all over the city. And then the other one is the protected bike lanes, which pull the bicycle out of traffic, put them next to the curb behind the parked cars, and people find this a lot more comfortable. It's like, we like to call it like an all ages design. So like, you could ride with your kid, you could ride with your grandmother. They don't have to swerve around a double parked car or deal with as many vehicles as they would with the bike lanes that are sitting in the street outside the parked cars. So another big part of Westchester Avenue is the traffic engineering behind the proposal, because Westchester Avenue is a truck route and it's a large street. Like I said, it's 70 feet wide. A lot of people use it to drive, and there's a lot of trucks. So we had to make sure that we're not going to be backing up Westchester Avenue by making these changes. So we did a pretty rigorous analysis of traffic modeling to make sure that from the traffic counts that we got, that when we redesign this, that the same amount of traffic is still able to flow down the street. So the first part is this this map with all the lines on it. We have turn lanes in the places where we know people are going to turn. And we're also having lanes at the ends to let people flush out of Westchester Avenue and not block up the whole thing. Another big part of this is the LPIs that I mentioned, or I should say leading pedestrian interval, which I'll probably also say LPI back and forth, but that's just the letters for it. So for LPIs, what we do all over the city is we add 7 seconds for pedestrians to cross the street without the cars moving. So this gives people time to get in the middle of the street, and then when the car gets the green light, they see the person there, they know to yield, and it gets people sort of a head start on crossing the street, and they don't have to immediately deal with the car trying to turn across them. This enhances the visibility, and it sort of reinforces that cars should be yielding to people crossing the street. And on a very wide street like Westchester, it's a real great benefit. It gives you a good 7-second head start. So we plan to put LPIs on pretty much, or on most of the intersections here. We wrote all of them at the bottom here to cross Westchester Avenue. So onto that's like the generic overall corridor design. When we were looking at this street, one of the things that popped up to us was that we got to 167th Street, which is a very large intersection. It's got 5 legs on it. It has a lot of traffic going through it, and we realized since we're planning to redesign this whole thing, we need to think about this intersection a lot. So the first part of it is that this turn with the red arrow here coming from Westchester going on to 167th Street, during the peak hour, it had about 300 vehicles making that turn, which is a lot. Like that's very heavy. And at the same time, people are supposed to cross the street while cars are doing this very soft turn onto 167th Street. And here's a photo of what it looks like when you should be crossing the street. And I know personally, it doesn't seem like a good time to be crossing the street. A lot of people probably wait to jaywalk at a different time because there's clearly cars almost pointing right at you as you're trying to cross there. So that was something we saw and really want to fix. Another part is that there's very long crossings here because the crosswalks are skewed. So Westchester Avenue is already 70 feet wide, but when you make it not straight across, it makes the crosswalk even longer. And there's also a missing crosswalk on the other side of Longfellow Avenue. So we have the crosswalk on the side closer to Whitlock, but on the other side of the street, there's no crosswalk. You'd have to cross to the park first and then cross 167th Street, which we already pointed out is a sort of uncomfortable crossing already. So those are all things we saw at this intersection and are trying to figure out how to fix. And I should say, and now in the proposal, we're proposing to add bicycle lanes, which adds a whole nother element to the street that, and we have all this, all the turn conflicts and things like that. So that's, yeah, something to keep in mind with our design. So the first part we looked at was the signal timing. So we could see here that there's first the Westchester phase where both sides of Westchester go, and that's when the crossing happens. And that's when that very soft turn goes across where people can just go full speed and make the turn. And then the 167th Street phase happens of people leaving 167 going towards Westchester. And then we have the Longfellow phase. I should mention during the Longfellow phase, that's when people are crossing Westchester Avenue on these big diagonals. And there's no LPI to cross the street there, as I mentioned before. There's no head start to cross the street. So the first part of the proposal is that we're proposing to make 167th Street between Longfellow Avenue and Bryan Avenue one direction away from Westchester Avenue. This would give us some time in that signal timing to do other things with the timing that I'll show later. But by making it one way, it kind of simplifies the intersection. So by making it one way, that would mean there's still a traffic going towards Whitlock Avenue and the Sheridan. So that would mean people have to make a right. If they're coming down 167th Street, they make a right on Bryan Avenue, and then they make a left on Westchester Avenue. So we'd be adding traffic to those streets. So to deal with that, we are proposing to add a left turn lane here. This image here is the existing, what it looks like now, but I'm showing the errors of what we could do. So we'd add a left turn lane to add some room on this street, and we'd also add LPIs so that when you're crossing these intersections that didn't used to have as much traffic going through them, that you get your head start to cross the street there. So by doing that one-way conversion of East 167th Street, it lets us change the signal timing a lot and give more time to all the other people that are using the intersection. So the first part is we can add a dedicated crossing for people walking and people biking across 167th Street. So there wouldn't be that heavy turn of 300 vehicles. You get to just cross the street. You'd only deal with people going towards Whitlock Avenue and the Sheridan, but those numbers are really low in our counts. Not too many people are turning from Westchester to East 167th going the other way. So you'd get 23 seconds to do that with very few turns across it. And then we would let Westchester Ave go by itself without having to deal with anyone walking in the street. This would also give some extra time to Westchester Avenue going towards the Sheridan and Whitlock Avenue. It would go from 36 seconds to 59 seconds. So that gives some more green time to people going down Westchester Avenue in cars and trucks. And then, so after that phase, we would be able to put an LPI of people crossing Westchester Avenue. We'd have 7 seconds where you get to cross it without any cars turning, and then Longfellow Avenue would start. Sorry, I gotta have some water. Okay. And we'd also be able to add the extra crosswalk on Longfellow Avenue, along Longfellow Avenue, so that you don't have to cross to the park first and then cross 167th Street. And this is all because we're taking away that extra movement coming out of 167th Street. It gives us a lot more time to work with the signal. So altogether, what this would look like with paint is in front of you right now. So we would be able to put in protected bike lanes on Westchester Avenue and also on the block that's being converted to one direction on East 167th Street. We would also be able to add a lot of pedestrian islands, which are these brown areas, to make the crossing distances a lot shorter than the more than 70 feet that they are today. It would also add the extra crosswalk here along Longfellow Avenue. And you can also see the turn lane to deal with the extra traffic along Bryan Avenue. Another thing to point out geometrically with this is that there is a bus stop on the park right here between Bryan and East 167th. And to deal with all the changes that we're doing here, it'd be best to move it to the far side of the intersection. So we're proposing to move the bus stop to the other side of the corner. There's an apartment building there. And so that, yes, I think I've talked about everything here. Okay, so overall, this proposal is to provide some pedestrian safety enhancements on a Vision Zero priority corridor, and it would shorten the crossing distances along the whole street, and especially at Longfellow and 167th Street by a lot, and also give more time to cross by giving those LPIs at all the intersections. This proposal also is providing the protected bike lanes that is an all ages design, which can get people all the way to the Bronx River Greenway, which is improving and getting better every day. And also we're proposing left turn lanes to better organize the traffic along Westchester Avenue. And then there's the sort of major redesign of Westchester Avenue at Longfellow and East 167 to make it safer for everyone and a little more organized for everyone. So with that, we're open to questions. Thanks for listening to me talk for whatever. I didn't have a timer running, but.
Elvis?
Okay, thank you there, Zach, for that presentation. Now, does anyone have any questions?
We do have questions. I have some questions, and Bashan, your committee member. I'll start though. This is major. This is a major redesign you guys are proposing here. My first question will have to be with those 40 parking spaces. We need to know exactly where we're looking at. You know, you just mentioned it. You mentioned it on the Sheridan Boulevard, but where exactly are these 40 spaces you're looking to take out? That's my first question. My second question is we're bottlenecking now Westchester Avenue to a one lane, and we do have the 4 bus that runs there. We have this, and I understand you documented 300 vehicles in the peak hour. I think that number is relatively the same throughout the day on Westchester Avenue. Peak hour or non-peak hours, that is a high volume area. And to narrow it down just to one lane, and my perfect example would be if someone is parked in the parking lane or even by the bus stop, the 4 bus now is gonna have to stay in the middle of the street to stop, let people on and off. And that's gonna also cause a delay going back. I don't think you guys are, you're just saying we're gonna move the bus stop and it is a bus stop, the bus can pull over. But we currently have that issue now where on Westchester Avenue, the bus, has to stay in the lane. It doesn't have the bus lane because there's always cars double and triple parked, in particular on Westchester down by Whitlock. And that's where you're looking to remove 40 parking spaces. So if we can have a map of where those 40 parking spaces are, that's my first thing. And then just understanding, I know that it really has no bearing now, but this is the only part of Westchester Avenue in the entire borough that is not under an L, is not by an elevated train. So I understand the width of this block in particular, but if we're bottlenecking now just for one lane in each direction, we are you because if you're just looking at the peak hours, I'm looking at the non-peak hours also. There's always high traffic on Westchester, between Southern Boulevard and Whitlock. Those are just my concerns, Stelvis. But we certainly want to see where these 40, because now we're losing 40 parking spaces. 40, that is a high amount. You know, we lost a lot already on Westchester because if I'm not mistaken, there's I think 2 of these city bike stations. I know there's one on Westchester and Bryant. So we've already lost parking there. And that's part of what I wanted to bring up later on with you guys about these city bike things. I do understand about the pedestrians and the fatalities or the severe injuries. I understand that. But I think we're going to be causing more congestion on this part of Westchester. That's just my thinking right now from this presentation.
Hey, Ralph. We'll look at where the locations are that we're removing those parking spots. But we really want you to think about modes of transportation and how they're changing in the city and how people are trying to get around. And we think that having city bike in your community is going to give a lot of people an opportunity to use other modes of transportation besides the automobile. Right?
That's great.
The Hunts Point access is going to change the number of trucks that use this path, because as of right now, the only way to Hunts Point is Sheridan Boulevard, Westchester down into the
Right. That's off the Cross Bronx.
Right, from the Cross Bronx, right. But that's a major generator. That's a major generator.
You're right about that. But we're still losing parking spaces.
And we have bicyclists now trying to get to Edgewater, to Sheridan Boulevard, in order to get to those park spaces. And we need to provide safe places for them to get there. And
well, this is also part of why we keep asking about the analysis of the city bike program in our district.
Yeah.
Because we don't think it's being utilized as you guys are describing. So we're making all these changes, and if it's being underutilized, I think that defeats the purpose here.
But is it being underutilized because it's unsafe to ride a bike in your community?
No, it's being underutilized that we don't have, you put up a station with 50 bikes,
right,
and if only 5 are being used.
Right.
You know, we want to explore that. That's the first
and that's fair. And we will give you that information when we have the data fully collected. But do riders feel safe riding on Westchester Avenue is the question I asked you.
I don't think so. I agree. I don't think they are safe.
Right. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation.
I think we should wait till the analysis comes first so that we can justify the fact that not only are we having accidents, but we do have a high number of people utilizing it. I don't think that we do have a high number of people utilizing city bikes in my district. So we've been patiently waiting. You guys told us 6 months. Now you're telling us a year. And I know we're approaching that year mark, right? I think it's like at the end of the summer that this year of analysis is what we've been waiting on. And we've been patiently waiting for this because all I get is complaints, and I got major complaints already on Westchester and Bryant because there's a city bike station there that eliminated like 4 or 5 parking spaces of the tenants that live in those buildings there. Those are Wavecrest buildings. They've been hounding me about this. Like there's no one using the bikes. They just sitting there. And so this analysis will help me to justify all these other changes. So we're making these changes on the assumption of a citywide program, which we're in favor of it. Don't get me wrong, but it might be a little too much all at once. And we're asking for information on one thing, we haven't received it, and we're jumping already, of outcomes of others that are happening here. This is just my suggestion. I want to make sure that the committee is aware that we have been asking for this analysis. I do support city bike.
We're going to get you that analysis. We will get you that analysis of the riderships.
Okay.
Also, can I also add, please, that
Miguel, hold on, Miguel. LaShawn was first.
Oh, sorry.
LaShawn, and then you come right on, Miguel.
Sorry.
There, LaShawn.
Hi, thank you guys. I want to echo everything that Ralph has said, but I also want to add that 40 spaces is a lot. Automobiles are not going anyplace in the Hunts Point community. And we actually pay car insurance, we, put gas, we contribute to the economy. I'm not saying that the city bikes are not useful, but to take away that much parking and there's no analysis of the use of what's going on with city bikes, and to just kind of just speak to it in a sense of not considering all the people in this community who use automobiles, not just for vanity purposes, but for actually getting around. Especially now in the wake of this pandemic, people are buying cars more than ever because they don't want to be on public transportation. We are
Right.
also a city that has multiple seasons. We are not just sunshine all day. We have the winter season. So bikes are not going to be probably as utilized as they would in the spring and the summer. So I'm concerned about the parking that is slowly disappearing. And again, I'm someone who's had a car for a very long time. I'll just speak for myself personally outside the community, but I pay car insurance. And the bikers are not necessarily always safe when they're using these bikes. They're riding into cars. They're hitting pedestrians on the street. It's not as simple as, oh, we want to provide multiple options and streams of transportation for the residents of the district. But you have to think of the people who also are automobile users as well.
Right, and we do, and that's why, and yes, that's a fair point. We do consider automobile users as well, and that's why we're providing safer movements for all users along the corridor. So we're providing more signal timing for vehicles to maximize their movement through that corridor, and we're shortening the crossings for pedestrians, who are all key modes of transportation along this corridor.
Yeah, if I could just jump in for a second. Thank you, LaShawn, for your question. You make some interesting points. But remember that one of the unusual things, or maybe counterintuitive things about protected bike lanes, is that they don't only improve safety for cyclists, they improve safety for all road users, especially pedestrians, which is really our biggest safety concern. And Westchester Avenue is a Vision Zero priority corridor. And what that means is when we look at all of the serious pedestrian injuries across the Bronx, we pick the corridors and the intersections that stick out the most, that are the biggest problems for pedestrian safety. And Westchester Avenue is one of them, the corridors, and Westchester Avenue in Southern is one of the worst intersections in the Bronx. So part of what we're doing here is it's not just about bikes. I mean, it's possible that the city bike ridership is not that high yet, but the pedestrian crash rate is high, and we do have analysis to show that. And I also just want to point out, with regard to your concerns about traffic congestion, which are valid concerns, we really modeled this thing to death. We really spent a lot of time and had a lot of units working on it. I know we went through the presentation pretty quickly, but by the time we go public with a proposal like this, it's been through such a rigorous review by so many different units. I mean, to make the one-way conversion, whenever we talk about removing a lane of traffic, that's not something we take lightly. So, we collected traffic data throughout the day at every intersection on the corridor. We spent time observing it. We went through a bunch of different modeling schemes, and we're proposing some tweaks to signal timing. And we had a slide earlier that looks a little weird, where we show all the numbers of lanes that will be where. Which looks like it might be random. This graphic down here, but that's the result of a serious analysis to make sure that it will work. Because we certainly don't want to slow down traffic, and we really don't want to slow down the bus.
Can I just add one last thing, Nick? Bikes are for individuals, right? Cars actually help families, right? People who have kids, or elderly family members, or just families, just a normal couple, they can't ride a bike. Right. So that's the other thing. I'm not anti-city bike. I just feel as though the New York City is becoming anti-automobile, which is not good either. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, we go.
Thank you, LaShawn.
Yeah, I'm just adding, and I think I'm piggybacking on what you said and what LaShawn just said. We also, 40 parking spaces is going to have a huge impact. Also, what has to be taken into factor is that it's not just the cars in this community, but the cars that come into the community for people that work in this community. Okay, you have a lot of people that work in the Hunts Point market who don't live in the area, who come driving into this area and looking for parking. It's becoming more and more difficult to obtain parking and taking away 40 is going to have an impact. I understand about the analysis on that stuff, but either way you put it, even alternate side of the street parking has become much more difficult now because of the lack of parking spaces. And it would be ideal, right, if there was a parking lot with cars could go to, but even in that area, we're also limited. So again, I'm piggybacking on what Ralph and LaShawn is saying. I think that 40 parking spaces is going to have a huge impact. I get it. I understand about the biking and the safety and all the other attributes that come with it, but it is going to have a huge impact. It concerns me because as it is now, parking is very scarce now as it is. I know I drive into the area, and there's times when I'm driving around for half an hour to an hour trying to find parking.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I have a question.
Hello?
Miles, you could go ahead. I'll go right after you.
Oh, okay. So as the community board 2 member and as the bid director, my position is kind of with everybody else's, is that like 40 spaces is just far too many spaces. And I'd be interested to know what percentage of spaces that would be of the current, because I know there was a protected bike lane put up in Van Cortlandt Park area on Broadway, and I don't think they lost 40 spaces because of the protected bike lane. For us, it's really difficult when it comes for the bid because, we've had contracts and leases signed with businesses like Red Lobster who then have backed out because of the issue of parking. So we're losing serious opportunities to have anchor businesses come into this corridor and in this area because of a lack of parking already. I believe there's only two commercial parking facilities in the area, private parking facilities. So I understand that there's a safety component to this, but it seems like it's also there's an overreaching aspect to this. Like Ralph said, I know it might be an unsafe area for bikes, but I don't think the perception is going to change just because of bike lanes. I think that people don't want to ride their bike in that area because of what it's known for, which is traffic and parking. And we already have double parking all down Southern Boulevard on both sides all day, which complicates the buses. And then on Westchester Ave, which you're talking about, some of the parking spaces that currently exist are taken up as it is by food trucks each day. And I know that's more down towards the bid, but as you take up parking spaces, they're not going to stop coming. They're just going to stretch further down Westchester. So I think that's just in a very extensive number, 40.
Thank you, Miles. I think we have time for one more. Cynthia, I believe you were going to speak, or does DOT have a response to the last comment?
I mean, it was pretty much the same as the last 3 comments. 40 spots is too many for safety.
Keith, I think I'd like to add in, it's not a perfect answer, but when we have a lot of parking issues in a neighborhood, one of the things to do is to work on changing the parking signage at different places. So it doesn't add spots, but we can, one of the things that could mean is adding meters, but sometimes it's something more complex than that to just changing the curb regulations. But that's very detailed, and that I don't have an exact answer, but that's something. If there are certain places where the parking is extremely important to certain businesses, they need certain things to happen. That's something we can add to this.
I guess I'm just saying more as an area, we're becoming known as a non-parking area, therefore a don't shop there area, therefore a don't open businesses there area. And it may sound great to bring in bikes, but that's not the same. I understand we need to protect everybody, but not at that large cost. I think there was one fatality, not to be insensitive, but in all these years that you've been studying it. So one person having a fatal incident and then removing 40 parking spots because of, frankly, some cosmetic upgrades as well as some safety upgrades. It just seems extensive. Thank you.
Miles, these are not cosmetic. These are strictly safety.
I mean, there's no pedestrian islands now, and now you want to add multiple ones and a protected bike lane. It does seem cosmetic. I mean, everybody's getting across the street fine right now.
I have to disagree with you there.
yeah.
The crash statistics for pedestrians on Westchester Avenue are pretty disturbing. And
Well, I
when
don't think
we
that's
see a
parking.
corridor like that and we have to do something, we have a responsibility at DOT to
Maybe-
look out for the most vulnerable road users.
I just want to
Or we could
acknowledge that we were joined
adding,
by
like,
Councilmember Salamanca. I just want to acknowledge that, Elvis.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr.
Ralph.
Chair, may I speak here?
Absolutely, yes, Ralph.
I'm happy I logged on because I'm taken back by this presentation. DOT, why haven't you come to my office to present this to me?
I'll have to ask the Borough Commissioner that. I lost audio. Hello?
We
The,
hear you,
the question on the floor from Ralph Salamanca is why was there no communication from DOT in regard to the changes within the district?
I'll have to get back to you on that, council member.
Well, I think the council member gets the gist of concerns that are being raised at the committee level now. And you guys will.
Miss.
I'm sorry.
Council member, would you like to see the proposal? Council member. Hello?
Looks like he froze. He froze
Yeah.
there.
So maybe we should back up and start the presentation from the beginning so we can show the council member.
Oh, no,
I don't know.
It doesn't work that way. You
Yeah.
schedule a meeting with me and you make a proposal with me. I'm not.
I can't.
I think we get the
community
gist.
board changes that you're trying to get community. Am I frozen, Ralph? Ralph, am I
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
you were
you're
freezing.
breaking up. You're breaking up. So I don't know if
Can you
it's
hear me now?
just. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. No, it doesn't
Yes.
work like that.
Yes.
It doesn't work like that, DOT. You schedule a meeting with my office and you make a presentation with me before you present this to the community so that I can tell you, if I'm in favor or not. This is the first that I'm hearing of these changes. So let's make it clear here. Before you're making any changes, you need to schedule a meeting with my office and we're going to discuss this.
Okay, I'll have the Borough Commissioner reach out to you, council member.
Yes, you do that.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I think the council member and DOT just got the concerns raised at the committee, which are very preliminary, but I think they're very valid. The parking spaces, the bottlenecking, in particular, and what Miles mentions about just the social economics that it can cause moving forward. So I don't know if there's anything else regarding this presentation, since it'll go now to the council member's office.
Okay, I believe, Ralph, all the questions were asked.
Great.
And
I have
like
two
you said,
things for DOT while I have their attention now, Elvis, if I may.
absolutely, sir.
One is regarding which we discussed was the city bikes. We're
Yes.
looking forward to seeing the analysis of that.
Ralph.
That will also help with this, but we're looking at the analysis for the entire community board because it's not just on Westchester Avenue.
Yes. So when we spoke last, it was my understanding, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we were supposed to wait until the fall to get you that information?
It was about a year, and it was about the fall. Originally, Keith, you guys told us 6 months. But then due to the pandemic, the winter season, and so forth, you needed a year analysis to see the actual usage of the city bike program. And the issue is mainly these stations, you took up tremendous amount of parking. We have like 30 or 40 bikes at these stations, and we don't think they're all being utilized. It's just a fraction. So what we're asking kindly is to, decrease the amount of bikes, decrease the station to give us back some parking. So we're not saying eliminate it all, but we're
Right.
saying that there's too many of these stations around, in close proximity to each other, and the stations themselves are too large for the amount of usage in our district. That's
Okay.
the first thing. The second thing, Keith, maybe about a year and a half ago, it was a June meeting because we was at Urban Health, and DOT made a commitment to the community board about providing updates regarding Del Valle Square.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there's really nothing going on, but for the record, it would be good if, since you guys are here now, if there are any updates regarding Del Valle Square.
The updates are that all of those design contracts were halted during COVID.
Okay.
So there was absolutely nothing had moved forward through the end of the design. We were at like 90%, I think, last time we met.
Right.
And then COVID-19 happened, and all the design contracts through DDC were halted. They just were announced to restart those design contracts, I believe, the end of March. But I'll have to double check if Matt is on the call. Matt was at, I think, the most recent meeting with Department of Design and Construction. So I think that they started again. So they're starting basically from a year ago, wherever they were. So nothing has happened. But Matt, are you on the call?
Yeah, Keith, I'm here, and that's correct. So, I mean,
Okay.
I can follow up with the DDC team and have them reach out to you, Ralph, to get the most recent update. But we only received an email probably about a month ago, notifying us that this project was the pause was lifted for the project. So they're going through some design details about just the square itself right now. So really, the best thing for us to do is to get DDC to reach out to you to provide you an update. So we can do that.
I really appreciate that because, like I said, I knew there wasn't really nothing transpiring, but just for the record, it's good that we are keeping that commitment with you guys. Now, I also just want to acknowledge also with this proposal on Westchester, we are expecting at 1125 Whitlock Avenue a construction that's going to deal with close to 500 units, 2 different buildings, 14 stories high. So
on top of the old garages?
Yeah, the garages are no longer there. Just where the train dips in and out, the 6 train, right there, right across the street. But this is literally a block from there, and I can assume already that some of these proposed 40 spaces, I think, will go all the way up to like Lowell and 165. So it's good to know where those spaces are, and I hope that when you do present to the council member, that at least you have the idea of where those spaces are, and as Miles indicated, the percentage of the total spaces that we have, so we'll know a percentage of the amount that's going to be decreased. That would be great.
I don't know that we'll have the percentage of vehicles because parking is not really, the spaces are not identified. We basically do it by the square footage of the linear footage of the space. So I don't know that we'll have a percentage number.
Well, you came up with a number of 40 somehow. So
yeah, because we're doing it by linear feet. I know every location, every block would have,
Okay.
I guess we'd count every parking spot, I guess, on the whole entire corridor. Is that what he wants?
Yeah, I guess, just like if we have a total of 100 spaces, and you guys are going to eliminate
He just wants a percentage of all the total number of vehicles.
Yes, something.
Okay.
So you can give us a total number of linear space, like you're saying, per foot,
right?
And then the decrease, and we can do an estimate, a rough estimate like that. But I think you guys are better coming up with those numbers since you already proposed 40 spaces.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Ralph.
Is there anything else? I'm happy. Yes.
Yes. I did have one more thing. For
that's you. This is you.
Perhaps we could invite DDC to our next month's meeting, and they could just, bring us up to speed to where they are.
Regarding Del Valle Square?
Yes, regarding Del Valle
let's see
Square.
what DOT reports back to us, because that might be the only update of this. But if needed, this is the committee that DDC will report, along with DOT and along with Parks. So if there's anything moving regarding Del Valle Square, I'm very confident that DOT will make us aware because they're doing the construction actually. So
DEC is doing the construction for us on our behalf.
DOT, yes, I'm sorry, but DOT is along with Parks, the main agencies regarding the reconstruction or revitalization of Del Valle Square.
Awesome. And lastly, regarding city bike analysis, do we have a time frame in which we're going to look to see that
Hello?
information?
Hi, Altagracia, we hear you,
Mr.
but they
Acevedo?
stay. We hear you,
Oh, oh.
Altagracia. They're in the
no.
middle of a meeting.
Hold on one
No,
second,
but
please.
I say because I want to say something while he's talking about the placita and the other side. I want to say something.
Okay, hold. There's a
Hold
there's a
on.
question. There's a question on the floor. We'll come to you next, Altagracia.
Okay.
So, is there a time frame for the delivery of the analysis for the Citibank utilization?
I'll have to get back to you. I want to see what we committed to last time. I was told it was the fall that we were going to get back to you.
Okay.
So I'll see what if we have the analysis, if it's prepared or not.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Altagracia.
Okay. I got a concern. I'm sorry, but what I say, I say it because that's not fair. But we got in this for almost 2 years. I hope that when he said the placita to do it because they putting everything in COVID. But there's a lot of construction around here. They make a 3 building already in this side, and they're still doing that. That's not fair. So the second, I hope with the what you say, the project in Whitlock, they are starting because they got somebody that got it before. They don't doing nothing. They stay like that. Now they got it. We got another people. I hope they doing the job because that's not fair. And another thing in Whitlock and Westchester, they have to fix it that way there because that's lot of dangers. Different color at the same time from one side to the other, straight and the other side. And they have to put in that in way they can nobody get hurt. And their traffic is doing better because that's a crazy thing in there. They have to fix it the way they got it there because that's not fair. They lie on one side, the other side come, the other one going to the left, the other one going to the right. They go straight, they go inside into the. Come on, no, they have to fix it that.
Okay. Thank you, Altagracia.
You're welcome.
Okay, that was the presentation from DOT. Again, thank you, Keith and team, for coming and presenting. It's always an interesting meeting when DOT is here, but thank you so much for the work you are doing. We know that you're doing it out of caring for our community and for the best interest of everyone. We know that you're going to take all of the information back and work on getting us some of the information that we are requesting. So thank you again, DOT. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. Next, we have on our agenda for this evening.
Thank
Maria.
you. Good night, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Good night. Next, we have Maria Matos from the Census Bureau, and she'll be updating the committee with some data that's being disseminated. Maria, are you ready?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to share the presentation. 1 second.
Hello? I gotta just something wrong with the bear with me. Oh,
Can you see the screen?
Not yet, Maria. I believe
Can you
Ralph
see my
is
screen?
working on. Not yet. I believe Ralph is trying to
Okay.
work on that now.
yeah, Maria, I will be the presenter. Just let me know when to move the slides, okay?
Okay, great. Oh, oh, wait a minute. You're putting the one that I sent you, the PDF, or you can see the one that I have.
Yeah,
Not
it's
really
up on the
savvy
screen
about
now.
this,
Can
so-
everyone can see it, right? Well, she sent me two different ones. So is this the one, Maria?
I cannot, to be honest, I'm with you, but I cannot see the presentation.
Well, it's up on the screen right now. Census Bureau Service and Data.
Okay.
You may want to slide your window to the left, Maria, so you can see the presentation and your camera screen. You just need to kind of change your view. And you could do that by sliding your screen to
You're absolutely right. I'm trying to look, but I don't know. No. Let's see. No, I don't know. But anyhow, you the first slide.
Yes, I'm on the first slide right now.
Okay. All right, no problem. That's okay. I will. I'll let you know. When is it? Number 3.
Sure.
No problem. No biggie.
Sure. Hold on 1 second, Maria.
Thank you so much.
Hold on 1 second, Maria. Hold on 1 second. Can you everyone mute themselves, please? Because there's a lot of background noise and it's kind of hard to hear the presenter. So I would appreciate everyone could just mute themselves, and we'll take questions after the presentation. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Maria. Let me know when to move.
No problem. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much to Community Board and District Manager Ralph Beto for letting me doing this presentation. I'm glad that I am here tonight with you all. I'm Ms. Maria Matos, and I'm a partnership specialist from the Census Bureau, and I'm assigned to the Bronx Borough. As Value 2020 Census Runners, we wanted to take the opportunity to tell you how much your support has sent us to your communities and our nation. We value public service, so we wanted to tell you how we can continue to serve you. You can please
hold on 1 second. Altagracia and LaShawn, can y'all please mute yourselves because there's a lot of background noise. If not, I'm going to have to mute you.
No, I don't got nobody in my background.
But you're coming up here, Altagracia, please. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Maria.
Okay. You may please go to number 2.
We're on number 3 right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. All right, so 2020 census data collection is over. And despite all the challenges up to the plate and made this past year possible, we sure have a lot of challenges. We never imagined we were going to have this pandemic. We're grateful for your dedication, trust, perseverance, support on the census mission. You played an important role, and together we overcame these challenges, and we help to build future nation for the next 10 years. A huge thank you to Community Board 2 for your extra effort, time, and collaboration. Number 3. So during the past 2 years, I mentioned in the 2020 census presentations that the Census Bureau conducts continuous surveys besides the decennial. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I already answered the census," and I said, "No. There's no way." After this is in 2020, you probably received the questionnaire from a survey, one of the surveys that we got. So this is it. People want to know, what do we do between decennials? And in this presentation, I'm going to mention some of the surveys that we conduct.
All right, we're on slide 4.
All right, I'm still on 3. All right, so we already know that the Census Bureau is the largest federal government statistical agency, and we're dedicated to provide current facts and figures about America's people, places, and economy. I just wanted to make sure that you remember that the federal law protects confidentiality of all the information the Census Bureau collects. We already know that the census is conducted once every 10 years, and it's mandated by the Constitution. Besides the decennial, we also have other censuses, the economic census and the census of governments. The economic census measures the nation's economy every 5 years during the years ending 2 and 7, provided by statistics for virtually every geographic area in the country. And the census of governments has comprehensive data about the nearly 90,000 state and local governments in the nation every 5 years, also during the years ending in 2 and 7.
Okay, we're on
The
number
Bureau
4.
conducts more than 100. I'm 4 right now. The Census Bureau conducts more than 130 surveys. We have the demographic surveys, the economic surveys, population estimate projections, and we also have the American Community Survey. It's a survey that you're more familiar with. The American Community Survey helps communities decide where to target services and resources. The Economic Survey provides more frequent information about the dynamic economy. This survey is built more than 400 annual economic reports, including principal economic indicators. Population estimations, this data can be sorted by characteristics such as age, sex, and race, as well as by national, state, and county location. Population projections are based on future demographic trends, including birth, life expectancy, and migration patterns. Who needs to know? Well, small business owners, business enterprises, and economic development.
All right, moving on to number 5.
Yes. Thank you. How can data help me? Well, that's a good question. Most likely, the majority of people here today already know and understand the answer to that question. You have heard about who we are, and you know who you are. We have data available, many topics, and it's for free. You may please go to number 6.
Yep, we're on 6.
As you know, okay, census was important because the information helped out in our communities. As you see the picture, I see this picture, I always think that this was before the pandemic. We cannot do that. It's about our communities. And before in the presentation for transportation, we're talking about the roads, etc. So the data census that is available, it helps a lot. And how do you see the community and the neighborhoods, and how can the data can help make sure you have vision for the community that are right. We have the demographic and housing surveys as well. You may please jump to number 8, and we already covered that. Yeah, you can go to number 9.
Yes, and on number 9.
So
Maria.
one of the surveys that we have, it's like American Community Survey. American Community Survey is a nationwide survey that is the previous for detailed information and housing information about our nation and its people, with over 3.5 million households sampled for participation. ACS developed by the Census Bureau to predict the long form of the census program. The survey asks questions about topics not on the 20 census, such as education, employment, and transportation. It collects data on ongoing business monthly from January through December, provides reliable and timely economic, housing, and demographic data for community needs to make important decisions. It helps local officials, community leaders, and businesses understand changes in our community. Example, ACS that help emergency planners to determine estimates of the most vulnerable populations, including seniors, young children, and people with disabilities. Non-governmental organizations use data to apply for grants. Businesses use ACS data to help start or grow a business. It has about 72 questions to identify the characteristics. You can file or visit from a census representative. As I mentioned, the ACS has an annual size of about 3.5 million addresses. Survey information collected every day of the year. Data are pulled across the calendar year to produce estimates for that year. As a result, the ACS estimates have been collected over a period rather than for a single time as in the census. The ACS gives you access to public microdata sample, we call the PUMS files. These files are set up non-tabular records with information about the characteristics of each person and housing unit in the survey. The PUMS represents about 2/3 of the responses collected in the ACS in 1 September, September or 5-year period, and is released in December. The 1-year PUMS files are available for geographic areas with at least 65, including region, regions, and also the public use microdata areas. We call it the PUMAs. Of these, PUMAs is the most detailed geographic area available. We may please go to number 10.
Okay, we're on 10.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Please. All right. Geography play an important role in Census Bureau activities, including supporting the American Community Survey. Graphic aids are graphically larger units like states, including smaller units, such as counties and census tracts. Groups are the smallest building blocks for the ACS. You can go to slide number 11, please.
On 11.
Okay. Here we have the ACS resources. You can see the site link here. And when you click in there, you can go directly to the American Community Survey. It provides you with handbooks and training presentations. There is the you can call and ask questions, and you can also submit questions online to ask the census. Slide number 12. We also have the American.
Yeah, we're on 12.
Yes. So this survey has been the most comprehensive national housing survey in the United States since its inception in 1973, providing current information on the size, composition, and quality of the nation's housing and measuring changes in our housing as it ages. The survey is sponsored by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, conducted by the U.S. Census, of course. And it's one of the surveys we conduct on behalf of other agencies. The survey provides up-to-date information about the quality and cost of housing in the U.S., include questions about the physical condition of homes and neighborhoods, their costs, financing and maintaining homes, and the characteristics of people who live in these homes, who benefit from planners, policymakers, stakeholders, as a result of the HF, to assess the housing needs of communities in the country. And just use this data to determine how characteristics in the market areas. Policymakers in government, private organizations and housing information make decisions about programs that will affect people of all income levels, ages, and racial and ethnic groups. We can go to number 13.
13.
PIP, Population Estimates Program. Each year, the Census Bureau Population Estimates Program uses data on birth, death, and migration to calculate population change. Since the most recent decennial census produces a time series of estimates of population demographic components of change and housing units. These estimates are used in federal funding allocations. The survey controls as denominators for vital rates and popular time series and as indicators of recent demographic changes. We also have economic data survey. We already mentioned the economic census. Now, I am going to give you real quick an information. I like stories, and one of the links that we have in our website is about stories in the country. And one of the stories that got me is from Washington State, and it got me because it has to do with housing. And this is one of the that we have in New York City. And I'm going to share this data story. It's from John Wilson, King County, SS, Washington State. In 2016, even though housing affordability was in a crisis in that state, especially for low-income disabled and disabled veterans, they didn't take advantage of the state property tax exemption program that was available to low-income homeowners over the age of 61. King County enrollment level was low. This fellow, Mr. Wilson, the American Community Survey I mentioned before. And he went to this survey to identify any potential applicants for King County and where they might be located. They use the PUMS sample that I told you about because they provided the flexibility to conduct a custom analysis, met their eligibility criteria. Homeowners over age 61 and household income below 40,000. They found that there were approximately 30,000 households eligible for tax exemption in King County, but only 15,000 households were enrolled in the program. What was the outcome? And this is the great part of the story. They did an outreach plan. They had to increase enrollment. After 18 months, the Department of Census brought in nearly 7,500 new applications from potentially eligible citizens and disabled homeowners. That was almost 50% increase in a year and a half. Data from the ACS was valuable to them and helped many low-income homeowners greatly. Mr. Wilson said that an older postal worker came up to him and said he had just received exemption. He could finally have a salary that he was going to be able to stay in his home. So the data of the Census Bureau is extremely important. And this is what we do in the decennials. We collect information about the country to help businesses, elected officials, everybody. So what's next? Well, we would like to stay connected, and right now, besides doing this data dissemination presentations, we also have the statistics and school presentations, and it's a great program. We inform and educate students and parents, teachers about what we do, and we have programs for elementary, middle school, and also high school. We have we can go to slide number 20. Here, exactly.
Okay, Maria.
All right, so statistics in schools, yes. Statistics in schools program brings school subjects live using real world census bureau statistics to create material used year after year from kindergarten to students. Parents, teachers, and teachers explore this page for a more learning activity. It's usually free and can fit in the existing lesson plan. We can go to slide number 21. Here you have all the resources from statistics schools to stories that like the ones that are from ACE that I shared with you. And now I want to jump into the slides that I sent you to teach you guys how to collect data. Is in the important slides I sent you. It says working in data.census.gov.
Those, but they're sideways. So please forgive me for that. Because yeah, they're the thumbnail, so they're sideways. So we're gonna have to
see.
That's fine, but if we can just, for the sake of time, Maria, can we just go through this, please?
Absolutely. All right. So I'm really sorry that mine is straight. So with little data census click there, find spatial explore census data. You're gonna go to advanced search, you click there, and this will take you to page it's a arrow with filters. On the left hand side is browse filters, and you have topics, geography, years, surveys. I chose topics, and click to me to this table, and it has business and economy, education, families and living arrangements, population people. I chose population people, and it switched to another table. Said ancestry, all the population, etc. I chose all populations because at the moment I was giving a presentation to a Presbyterian when I click in all the population, to the next table, and I went to the first browser and I could work it because I wanted data of our population in the New York State, clicking there, and I went back and filtered, and then I click on the rest, and I chose the AS 5-year estimates. And I click in there, and which says age and sex, relationship of household type, population 65 years and over in the U.S. So I click in population 65 years and over in the U.S. Then finally it took me to the table. Voila! It gives me the estimates of people 65 years and over. Excuse me, County of Bronx, 157,995 individuals. So this is just an example. How can you retrieve data in this slide? You can see that you retrieve data by age, female, basically Hispanic, Latino, white, Black, or African American, Asian, Native American, or some race. And you can go to slide to number 8, the data gems. The Census Bureau has how data gems. It's for data users who are looking for easy and quick to enhance knowledge of census data. These videos are great, and I'm going to give you an example. I teach a part-time, and I teach this a lot of classes Zumba, abdominals, etc. And some of my students tell, okay, do that, the hamstring, etc. And they look at me, okay, some other things more visual. So videos, people like me, more a person that like to see, and it's very easy. When you click in the videos, they're going to show you how to retrieve data. And one of the things that I like a lot is how to use the COVID-19 data. And you see it here at the last slide. And also the last thing I'm going to say, and it's slide number 11 in the part. The snip is over. Still work surveys that we conduct. We have field representative positions. You can email the name, code number to recruit@census.gov or call the number 254-3495 and apply today. I'm happy with the presentation, and this was very helpful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
And also, thank you for giving this opportunity to share with you that community boards can benefit as well. I give presentation to other boards in the Bronx. They use the public not to use data, because when you go there, you can retrieve the data by community districts, and it calls the in your area, the specific community board. So that's I'm done my presentation. Please hesitate to email information in the chat. It's Maria Matos at 2020 Census.gov. You have my phone number. You can always call me, text me, and or forward any email that my constituents have. No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Maria, from the Census Bureau, who provided a lot of good information. Ralph, are we going to open up for questions? I know we're looking at the time at this point. Ralph, did we want to open up for questions? Any questions in the chat? Let's see.
There's no questions in the chat, but if there are questions, just take them. It's 7:30. We can do like 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
Nobody has their hand raised, so I don't know if they're,
Yeah, I doubt it.
Committee members have questions.
You can hear me?
Yes, Miles.
Yes, Miles.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to say about the cleanup day.
Oh.
Is that,
Well,
is
then
that
he'll
good?
close that. He'll close off this presentation and questioning, and then we'll continue with the agenda.
Oh, okay. I misread what you were saying there. All right.
Sorry.
No worries.
But go ahead,
All
Dallas,
right.
because there's no questions right now.
Okay, so there's no questions, Maria. So again, thank you for all of your good information regarding the Census Bureau. Again, Maria left all of the information in the chat. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to her. So those are the two presenters that we had for today. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move forward with the meeting. Any old business?
Nobody has their hand raised. Nobody's asking any old business, so we can move on. New business.
I want to say something, Mr. Acevedo.
Sure, Altagracia.
What about that question we got for a couple of months about the new buildings and the way they calling the people, who's the one they calling, who's got an apartment? Because I don't see people from the community that got what they supposed to got. Because over here, there was 100, y no dieron ni 20. Now they got in Tiffany, they got people moving already, and the majority is from Hot Point and another places, and the people living in this side, I don't hear nothing.
Well, Altagracia, that's for the Housing Committee, which you're a member of. And I know that PRC did give us a presentation, but we can ask them if the building is filled and to give us a breakdown. But they won't be able to give us a breakdown of, maybe we can ask per zip codes, but I'll follow up with that. That's not, too big. I can follow up with PRC.
And one question, please. The new building in Fast, between Fast and Tiffany and Westchester. So how they gonna do in the same thing the other buildings? Okay, they open the building, they make it, they open it, and they moving people from Brooklyn, from New Jersey, from Terrytown, from Yonkers, from Hot Point, because I see they got privilege in Hot Point. And the people in the community, I hear that day and night. They say why they only call people the most privileged guys Hot Point. And Hot Point, and in this side of the community, they got the same right. And I think, it's not fair. Like a human being, it's not fair. If you got a three corner, so you have to divide it in the three corner, not only one side. Because I hear people back and forth in different Spanish, American, Jamaican, different people, they got the same concern. Why they all the time they call people only from Hot Point?
Gracia, you're bringing up things that should go to the Housing Committee. I'll be
This is no Housing Committee today?
No, this is economic. This is the Economic Committee meeting. I'm happy that you're here.
I'm sorry. I know.
I'm sorry, you're bringing up valid points.
Now I understand, because Economic Committee is from Hot Point. Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
It's okay, Altagracia. I'll bring these up when we're meeting in the Housing Committee, so we can ask the management companies to come in and give us a presentation. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for joining on, Altagracia. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Altagracia. Anyone else with new business? Anybody else with new business?
I have a new business.
Okay, go ahead, Miles.
Thank you. And sorry, Dallas, I thought I misheard you when you were saying the end of the presentation. I took it as the end of the meeting, but I see the agenda here.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you, Altagracia. Thank you. I wanted to just bring up, and this might be the wrong committee, I'm a new member, but on Whitlock Ave, between 165th and Aldous, there's like a big open empty lot there. You know, I'm at the bid, but a lot of people report to me, a lot of business owners, that they drive by there every day and they see people like sleeping back there, but like doing blatant drug usage and, you know, things like that. So I just wanted to put it on the radar for people. If there's probably things being done already, but it's something people have brought up to me a few times now.
I'm sorry, what was the others again? You said Whitlock and what?
Yeah, that's 1125 Whitlock. We got a big development going on there.
Okay, okay.
I'll reach out because that switched hands like 3 times. So we got a new owner there. They're doing the final closing. So there's going to be construction going on. This is where all the little garages used to be. But I'll make them aware that it appears that there's homeless people on their property and they need to address that accordingly. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, Miles.
Okay,
Thank you, Miles.
Miles,
Okay.
in new business, on the new business, Miles, I sent you an email. I forwarded you an email from Larry Robinson.
Yeah.
Just regarding some stuff. If whenever you get a chance, if you just follow back up with me with that.
Okay, I was reaching out to Larry, but I'll write back to your email.
Oh, that's fine. If you want it, but just let me know that you did reach out to him. That's fine. You can reach out to him directly. Because I know he's gonna want to follow up with me, and I just don't have answers right now for him. So
yeah, I mean, he's basically seconding a bunch of things that we've already put in.
Correct. I know.
So I just want to let him know.
And I sent it also to sanitation just so that they have it for their record also, Miles. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
All right, it sounds like we're doing announcements, so we can continue on. Any more announcements?
We have announcements. You want to do the announcements?
I'll do the announcements. So we have this Monday coming up. The community board will be marching with the 41st Precinct Auxiliary Unit for their 5th annual Autism Awareness Walk. You guys are more than welcome to attend. We are asking that you wear blue, any kind of blue, because it is the color for autism, and mask will be needed to walk. Well, you need the mask to actually attend the walk, and they're going to be giving out some leftover kits that were donated by the community board to this walk, as well as other little knickknacks.
All right. Any questions for Cynthia regarding the autism work?
Yeah, hi, this is Ray.
Oh, you Ray.
Hey, you guys were supposed to get back to me on the kits.
No, Ralph was
we were just talking about that, and I was going to hit you up after the meeting because I said,
okay, all right, cool. Sorry.
50, right? Thank you, Ray. Thank you.
Got you.
All right, awesome. Any other questions regarding the autism walk?
Yeah, we have a few more announcements. So,
okay,
so
awesome.
We'll just keep going, and if they have it, they could just email us. So we have something called Juneteenth that they are presenting to the community board. It's going to this year is actually going to be virtual because of the pandemic, and they're going to be educating everybody about the importance of Juneteenth. And then hopefully next year they'll be able to do an event that won't be virtual in Marcus Garvey Park in Harlem. So the information has been sent to the entire board, and I'll send it to everyone that's on here today as well. I sent a PDF with maybe 50 things of job application, job opportunities, events, and just information that you may be able to use or just give to other people that would be able to use. So this is one of them. The point is giving out the vaccine. They were supposed to be giving out the Johnson & Johnson one, but they're giving out the Moderna one now. So you can register. I have the number. Give me 1 second. Sorry. So you have to call this 833-240-2830. The number again is 833-240-2830. And then you'll be able to select a time and a date and your preferred language. Casita Maria is doing a free SAT prep. The information's on the flyer. If you have any students or know anyone that would be interested in it, the flyers has all of the information. Thanks, Dee.
Okay.
This is something that Larry had given us. It's pretty much a volunteer award. So if you know anyone who would qualify for, or that you know that would be able to be nominated for that, we have a lot of people who volunteer in this area. So you can always just nominate them as a thank you. And if they win, they will get acknowledged. And I'm not too sure what else, but the information is on here. They will actually give them a virtual gala on June 10th. So if you know anyone, just nominate them, and the information you can send it to is on the flyer as well. Our assembly member, Kenny Burgos, is doing vaccination appointments as well. You can give him a call at 718-893-0202. The number's on the flyer, or you can email Jasmine Guzman, and the email is also on the flyer. So this is a Miles event. So Miles from Southern Boulevard Bid Cleanup, he's doing cleanup event. It's not, Miles, help me out. I'm not too sure if it's a Earth Day thing or if it's just a regular cleanup, because I know you had a couple of them. But it's going to be April 17th at 8 a.m. And if you're interested in joining and helping up clean up our area, you can RSVP with info@sobobid.org. It's also on the flyer that I will resend out to everyone that's here today. Miles, do you want to say anything about this?
I mean, so I sound terrible, but I didn't really know about Earth Day happening. I'm always kind of behind on that one. But it's
So it's just one of your regular cleanup events.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a one cleanup event at least each month until October. I don't know if it's gonna be the same like second weekend or anything like that, but it should be one a month, and we do it early so that we can kind of let the businesses come in and see their store grates repainted and be surprised and happy. But there's less foot traffic then. So if people RSVP, so we know to have like enough coffee and donuts and supplies, that would be great.
Thank you. And I don't know if anyone else, any other, LaShawn also sent me something. I'm sorry, LaShawn sent me something for, bless you, internship. She knows something that, LaShawn.
Yep, I'm here.
There you go. You could talk about your internship that you were talking to me about.
Yes. So I'm sure everyone knows, but I work for the CCRB, the Civilian Complaint Review Board, and we are looking for an IT intern. It is unpaid, but it's a great way to get some experience. And I have to say that the IT team at the CCRB is a great group of young people, great group of men and women. So this person would learn a lot, but I have a workaround. We are open to taking someone who is new in college or in high school, maybe more junior, senior. And if they are part of the summer youth program, we're happy to consider someone that way too, so they can get paid through the summer youth employment program. You can send resumes. I'll let Cynthia tell you guys my email, but we're looking for someone. If it's summer youth, they obviously would work the 6 weeks in the summer. If it's a college intern, this internship could last about maybe 6 months to a year. It would be maybe 1 day a week right now in the office, because we are still working from home. But the 1 day would probably be because for inventory purposes, because we're always getting new equipment in and stuff. So this IT intern would help with that. I hope that helps everyone.
Thank you.
I just wanted to jump on and say that the Southern Boulevard bid is hiring for a weekend maintenance worker. So if anyone knows somebody who's responsible, maybe let me know and we can kind of go from there. But everybody else who's on our maintenance team is from the district. Actually, all three of them live on Southern Boulevard. So anybody nearby is extra preferred. And then I also wanted to say another project that I work on is called the Bronx Rising Initiative. And we've been working to vaccinate seniors and now all Bronx sites that are eligible, including homebound seniors and homebound, disabled individuals. So if anybody knows anyone who can't, go to a vaccination site, maybe they have autism or they're a senior or Parkinson's or something, please let me know and we can try to get them an appointment scheduled. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles.
Also for DEP, we have green infrastructure city park worker positions that are available. So I had shared that information with the community board. If you can just send it around, Cynthia, thank you. I think it pays about 16 an hour. They are seasonal positions. Yeah.
Can you resend it to me? I'm pretty sure we have it in that pile that we put. Just resend it to me, and I'll make sure I'll send it right on Monday when we start. I'm going to start sending a weekly information log.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks.
And Miles, if you have a flyer about what you just finished saying with the Bronx Rising, I'm sorry, is Bronx Rising?
Yeah, I'll send that flyer to you.
Thank you. I guess
All
that's
right.
it.
That's it for announcements.
That's it. That was the last thing on the agenda, Thomas.
All right, perfect. So we have a motion.
Yeah, to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn on the floor.
I made a motion.
I second.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Meeting, Elvis, and great meeting, guys.
Yes.
A lot of
Good night.
information today, as you saw, from DOT to the census. And I'm happy that the council member did get on. And we'll, with DOT, with that proposal, we'll be following up with the council member. But he's going to want input from this committee, the board, and the community overall. So we'll be following up with that. So thank you, everyone.
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.